Hello and welcome everyone. It's your boy Doc Williams, and today we're going to be talking about how to build Chrome extensions without coding. We're going to be talking about AI agents. We're going to be talking about Lovable, and we'll be talking about a brand new Chrome extension being launched today. So to begin, we have a special guest star here today. We'd love to invite her onto the stage right now. Talisha, how are we doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you so much for being here and seeing us today. So first of all, you have an announcement. Something is launching on Product Hunt. Could you tell us a little bit about what you built, and we'll kind of go from there for a moment.
Yeah, so I built Lovify, and Lovify is a Google Chrome extension to enhance your Lovable.dev experience. Now, Lovable is already great, but we're making it greater by adding other advanced features like importing projects from GitHub, voice chat, chatting with the documentation to help you get more of that vibe coding going on.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Hey, look at this. We got Bobby out here saying, hey, what's going on, Bobby? Thank you so
Hey,
much for being
Bobby.
here. Listen, we got Miguel. This is awesome. This is awesome. You got a crew coming in here. This
Yes.
is wonderful. Okay, let us know in the comment section down below. What are you building right now? Are you using Lovable? Are you using another IDE for, in using AI agents? Let us know. Okay, so real quick, Felicia, tell us, for the good people that might be just starting with Lovable, just starting out, could you tell us what this platform is in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So Lovable is an AI full stack engineer. It's an AI website builder. So right now you can't build mobile apps, but there's not any good ones anyways. But you can build web apps, websites, landing pages. If you want to clone Facebook, you can definitely do it in Lovable. No coding experience necessary.
Awesome. And we've been seeing you on Twitter. And by the way, we're going to be dropping her URL right there so you can connect with her in just a little bit. Make sure you follow her. She's doing amazing things. Could you give some examples of some of the projects that you have been building with the platform too?
Yes, absolutely. So, one of my favorite projects that I built is I built a speed reading coach. I actually can speed read at about 1175 words per minute, which is really fast, but you don't have to speed read that fast, but it helps you learn how to speed read. I also built a startup that builds startups called Spark. And what it does is the boring business side of your startup. So it uses AI to do market research, competitive analysis, set up your email marketing. So a lot of the less fun things that a lot of entrepreneurs tend to overlook.
That's awesome. Look, you got everybody coming in the chat talking about this. This is good. This is good. Well, excellent. Okay. So let's talk about what you built. And remember, it is live on Product Hunt right now. Make sure that you upvote, take a look at this, visit the site, all those things. Tell me more about the launch and the Chrome extension. Then we'll actually download it and kind of start using it, everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am very active in the Lovable Discord channel. I saw a couple of people from the Discord over here. So, hey, Lovable Discord. And I spend a lot of time helping people with their Lovable projects. A lot of them are non-technical. They're beginners. And when you're building with these AI, you're doing your vibe coding. You get a lot of errors and you get a lot of bugs that you need to debug. And sometimes it can be difficult if you're not sure what you don't know, right? So Lovify helps with that. It has the rubber ducky that helps you debug, or you get to talk to it, tell it what your problem is and how you want to fix it. And then it generates a prompt that you can give to Lovable to help you kind of walk through that problem. And you can also ask the AI. We have a help button. You push it to ask any questions about the Lovable documentation and get extra help if you need it.
Okay, let's do it. Now, from what I understood, I was seeing earlier that you built this with Lovable and with Cursor. We get a lot of questions about, wait a minute, what can I do with Lovable? What can I do with Cursor? When do I need to transfer this over? Could you kind of talk about your process when you're building with both of these things?
Yes, absolutely. So for Lovify particularly, Lovable does not build Chrome extensions. So I use Cursor to build that because Chrome extensions have a very specific way that they have to be built with very specific files, and Cursor was really great at handling that. For Lovable, I actually used it to integrate external APIs. So I am using things like Grok, OpenAI, Anthropic, Firecrawl, all on the back end through an edge function with Supabase. Yes, Bobby, through an edge function with Supabase. And Lovable is directly integrated with Supabase. So it makes it super easy to be like, hey, I want to add OpenAI to my platform. And Lovable is like, hey, I got you. Here's how we're going to do it. Let's go.
I love to see it. Love to see it. Okay. Let us know in the chat if you want to see more instruction, how to do this, what we need to see. I already saw on Twitter that you were going, or X, that you were going to be putting out videos, also more details, comparison. Hopefully we can see more how you're using cursor and layering this in. So this is excellent to see. Okay. So I think what we're going to try to do is I'm thinking about downloading the extension and then going in and seeing how to use it. What do you think about that? Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's a perfect idea. Let's do it.
All right, good times. And by the way, Mr. Hackathon, thank you so much for being here. We're doing another stream later on, and you're always here to support, so I appreciate it. Make sure that you upvote and support the launch too. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to go over here. Ooh, I love the page, by the way. I love
Built with
this page.
Lovable, of
Ooh,
course. Built
this
with
looks good.
Lovable. All the micro animations you see there is all built in Lovable.
Oh my goodness, it looks good. It looks good. I'm gonna drop the link down below. We've done it on Twitter, Twitch, on YouTube, wherever you're watching this. Make sure that you take a look. You can use this to get started. So I'm going to add the extension right here. Okay, add to Chrome. How long did it take to get verified and everything when you were submitting it to the store and everything?
So, okay. I will say it did take me a little longer than usual to get verified because Google Chrome wants you to do only one thing. And I wanted to do all of the things because I am a proponent of future creep. So I always want to add more and more stuff. But if you stick to what Google tells you to do, which is start with one feature and make it work, then you can get approved in as little as 24 hours. But it took us about 7 days to get
Oh
approved.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. So
Would
don't
you
don't do what I did.
Okay. I was just about to ask. I'm like, should I do that? Um,
No.
okay. Well, okay. So we just downloaded. I see the Chrome extension right here. I'm clicking on it. Should I also share my full screen, I guess, too, to do you want me to show the animation and everything of the extension?
No.
I better. Hmm?
No, that's okay. So when you click on the extension itself,
Mhm.
it's just the feedback button if you want to share some feedback with us. But the great thing about Lovify is that it's kind of natively integrated with Lovable. So if you head on over to lovable.dev, you should see some cool new buttons.
Okay, awesome. By the way, there's to support us, buy me a coffee. We will be supporting the Chrome extension in a little bit. Okay, so here I am. I'm in my account right here. I signed up.
Yeah.
Also, too, Bobby's talking about Google needs better process for checking the payloads before submitting.
It
Listen,
does.
sorry, but I'm glad you guys did it. I'm glad you guys did it. Okay, so we're here at Lovable. What should I do next?
So first you're going to refresh the page.
Okay,
Since you
refresh the
just
page.
installed it, you want to refresh that page for us. And then now you should see some new buttons pop up. So now you see that new import and plan button.
Oh man, what should I be doing there? Should I just do plan first? What are you thinking?
Yeah. So first you're going to want to type in your prompt.
Okay.
So you want to kind of think about what you want to do. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's why we have the plan button.
Okay. So what I'm going to use is um I want to create a directory for side hustles and learning how to make money online.
Sounds good.
Okay. I've got this right
Great.
here.
Now just hit that plan button and let's watch the magic unfold.
Ooh,
Right.
okay.
So right now we're calling our AI to create a PRD, which is a product requirements document. So this kind of just gives you a nice, good overview of what you want to build, what features you want, what pages that you need. So you're really thinking through what you're going to do instead of just jumping into it.
And what I'm seeing here too is what I like. It's telling me what kind it's built with React and TypeScript, so it's giving me more details right here. Okay, the features, constraints. Okay, 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 and user stories as well. Wow. Okay, this is great. Okay, so I'm reading through this. Do I make edits, or once I'm good with it, I say accept? What should I do?
Yeah, so if you like this one, you can hit accept. If you don't like it, you can't make direct edits yet. Definitely coming, but we wanted to make it really straightforward at first without people tinkering too much.
Yeah.
Have people get a feel for it. But you just accept that PRD once you're good with it, and then it's gonna generate an action plan for you. Okay.
What?
So these are all the different steps you're going to need to take in order to build your web application.
Nice. Now, I'm just going to review it. Is this going to help me when it gets submitted to as it's going to be building? This is just more context.
Yes. So actually, what's going to happen is after you start your implementation, we're going to generate the first prompt for you. And then once you get into your project itself, you're going to see a new plan tab, which is going to have this tab, this context for you that you'll be able to check out. You can check off the different plans. And then there's also a button where you can copy a prompt for that task.
I
And you'll
love
be
it.
able to like keep on track with what you're doing.
Good times. Okay, so should I press start implementation?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Let's
What
go
you're
for it.
describing right here, it reminds me of another platform um, that you're doing all of the playing, you're keeping track of everything. Because I get scattered when I'm in here, so this is really good. All baked in right there with the Chrome extension. Okay, so I have this, and then now I'm just going to click the return button right here. I'm going to enter it, and then we get going.
Yep,
All right.
exactly. Let's go ahead and do it.
I love this. I
Right.
still think this is just magic. This is just
Yes.
magic. So what's happening here? What's going on?
Yeah, so now Lovable is going to start building your project. And then we also have a couple little other buttons, which we shouldn't touch right now. We should wait for Lovable to finish, but I'll just kind of go through what some of them are. So we already talked about the new plan tab where you can kind of mark off your task, but there's also some buttons in your text area down at the bottom. You have a microphone, so you can use voice to text. You have the sparkle button, which improves your prompts for you. And then you have the rubber duck, which is good for debugging and talking through your problems. You also, in the top right there, you have the help button, which if you press that, a pop-up comes up, and then you can ask the Lovable documentation questions using AI. So like if you don't know, hey, does Lovable support XYZ? Oops, Lovable error. That's not us.
No worries. No worries.
But you could ask the documentation, different questions you might have. Yes, I didn't use a magic stick icon, but yes.
I love it right here. So, and then, okay, so we're seeing this get generated right here. So the help that will help us as we go through and kind of chat. For you personally, as you're going through this workflow, like you were saying, you're saying, hey, don't use this yet. What's your workflow as this is first baking in and really working through all of these things? Let it go for the first version and then start using the other features and things like that.
Yes, exactly. You're gonna want Lovable to do its thing. You don't want to interrupt it or anything like that. Usually, like what I do in between the AI doing my work for me is I scroll on Twitter.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. That's what we're about to do in a second. But before we get on that, so as this is working, could you talk a little bit about some of the basics that someone would need to know if they're trying to create a Chrome extension, right? They're like, I love what you're doing right here. How technical is it to build a Chrome extension? Did you have to do a lot of research? Did you use Claude to kind of build out your thoughts? Tell us about what you did to prepare for this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna say a caveat is to do what I say and not as I do, because I definitely did not follow what I'm about to tell you. So you might want to try refreshing the page. I know
Mm-hmm.
there's been a couple of issues today with
No worries.
Lovable. So hopefully Yeah. Okay. That's fine. This happens.
No worries.
But for the Chrome extension, I totally just vibe coded it. I went into Cursor and I said, I want to build a Chrome extension. This is what I wanted to do. And then it made me a Chrome extension. And then I just kind of kept going forward, adding features and functionality. And I did get a little bit of spaghetti code. That's where Bobby came in and he had to refactor it. That's why I say probably don't do that. You should definitely start with a plan and a strategy. You don't have to do much research, but you should like add cursor rules to say, hey, you're developing a Chrome extension. Here's the documentation. Here's what you need to do. And that will definitely help the process go more smoothly.
I love it. I love it. And you guys are wonderful and lovable community, so supportive in the live channels and everything. So make sure that you check them out, support them. As we're dealing with this, should I go back to the homepage, restart? What should I do if I run into something like this? Is it kind of just start over, kind of go from there? What would
No,
be the
no.
best thing?
Just see what Lovable says.
Hmm.
So scroll down, or did it not?
Nothing yet. So chat right here, scrolling. I'm just right here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that could be a problem on Lovable's
No
end.
worries.
You can always just, oh, well, this is going to be great for everybody. So we're going to do something that is magic, that is not part of the Lovify extension. It's actually part of Lovable that a lot of people don't know about. So what I want you to do, Doc, is I want you to click on that heart in the top left corner.
Top left, click
Yep.
this. Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. And then
Okay.
you're going to go to your account settings.
Uh-huh.
Mhm. And now you're gonna click on account settings one more time.
Account settings.
Yes, sir. And then you're gonna scroll down to where you see labs, chat mode, and you're gonna turn that toggle on.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this enables the chat mode inside of Lovable so you can ask it questions without changing any code. It is
Ooh.
literally a game changer.
I love that. I love that. And that is wonderful. Okay, so we do that and then we go back to the project. Go
Yes,
back.
we go back to our project.
Okay, let's see
I'm
what
gonna
we
go
just
back.
did down here. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm
Awesome.
back in the project.
So now you see this new button. It says default. You're going to want to click on that. And you're going to want to change the chat only mode. So
Okay.
this is really great when you need to ask lovable questions. Right now it is free, so ask questions away about your code base, and let's go ahead and we can ask it, hey, what happened? I think that's a great way to start.
Hey, what's going on? What happened?
Exactly.
All right. Right here. It's thinking about its life. This is good. And these are great tips. These are great, great, great tips. Thank you so much. Okay. And I just cannot believe how much out of all the different platforms, Lovable just, I think it's one of the best communities for these platforms. And just the vibes are good. And people are always so helpful to just answer questions. So it's awesome to see. Okay. So it's thinking about its life for a moment. I see the chat bubble right there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Include screenshots. That's good to make sure if I'm getting the error and everything like that. Should I almost like do the screenshot of everything that I'm seeing right here, like what's going on? Um, and I'm not getting errors right now. No errors yet, or anything that I'm seeing. But maybe I'll just wait for a second. It's looking like it's thinking.
Yeah. Well, while we wait on Lovable,
Yeah.
I could definitely show you some more of the functionality. I will say today is Lovable's birthday, so they're 1 year
Oh,
old today. So they might be experiencing, a little bit of traffic increase.
no
Everybody's
worries.
celebrating.
I
Um,
feel you.
so while we're waiting, you can go down to Ask Lovable, and this is a really cool thing that Lovify does. If
Mm-hmm.
you type a slash,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see this slash commands pop up. And there's
Ooh.
some really cool things you can do in here. One of my favorites is the SEO. So you can click on that SEO or you can type SEO and it'll pop up. And so here you can add in your SEO settings.
Oh,
So you can
wow.
actually create a favicon if you don't have one. You upload a PNG image, it'll automatically resize those for you. It'll show a preview. And then after you fill everything out and you click OK, then it will generate a prompt for you.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
great. That's
So,
great. Okay. And so I'm just doing slash and I can just have all of these different things. Okay. So we have SEO there. Awesome.
mhm.
That is amazing. Okay. So we have, let's go back. Hold on for a second.
Oh,
So let's go back. Are we doing anything? Still,
all right.
let's try it
Maybe,
one more time.
yeah. Or maybe let's try a new
New
project.
project? Let's do it. We can
Yeah.
do a new project. Let me go. I'm going to start going back to dashboard. Kind of go through the same process. Should I do a different type of app idea? Should I just go from there?
Um, you know, let's for this time, let's just use one of theirs. Let's click on one of their options that they have, and then we can work through like what happens when you don't create a plan first, right? Because you can
Okay.
also create a plan later on. So let's pick a new app idea here.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I was typing in the chat, talking to. Do you want me to make one from scratch or use a template? What did you say? I'm sorry.
So you can use one of their suggestions,
Oh,
right
right
below the
here.
text box. Yeah.
Let's
Or we can use one of your projects you already have.
uh, let's do this. Let's do expense tracker. Let's do that
Okay,
one.
great. Right.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and run this one.
And we're
And then,
just gonna run it directly. Just run
yeah.
it. Okay.
Yes. So we
Take
can
a
just
look.
go ahead and run this directly. And so if you have Lovify installed and you're not always using the generate plan button to begin with, you can always add a plan later on, which I think is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, even older projects, I'm like, it's not really going well. I can go back and make it better, make it pretty.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome.
Exactly. All
Okay,
right.
so it's working. We see a couple things that's adding right now. Okay, okay.
Yeah, lovable
All
speed
all
is speeding.
all in all, how many hours or how many projects you think you've done in Lovable already?
Yeah, so I can tell you exactly how many projects I've done. I have created a total of, give me 1 second, 78 projects.
Mm, okay, okay, okay. So what as you're going through this process, when did you start feeling like you were really hitting your stride? Were you thinking of just ideas like for different startup ideas? Were you trying to solve your own problem? Were you hearing what other people were trying to, business ideas and you're like, let's just see if I can create it. What yeah, what was your process and when did you feel like you were really dialed in when you're using Lovable?
Yeah, so I definitely started with I am the type of girl who likes to just play around with new tools. Anytime I see something new and interesting, I'm like, okay, let me just play around with it, get a feel for it, figure out where all of the buttons are, all of the features that it offers. And so after I got my feel and kind of got my stride going, then I could more develop more easily. And it's best to develop in a linear path, right? So always going forward instead of stepping back, because that's how you keep things on track. So after I learned that, then it was like smooth sailing.
That's awesome. Awesome. David saying this is both inspiring and gold. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. We have new ones in the chat too. So, what does the Chrome extension do exactly? Can you showcase the Chrome extension? Listen, this is why we got it recorded, but we'll talk about a couple things right now, which is awesome. Um, but yeah, as we're doing this project, I think you'll be able to see the Chrome extension in action, if I'm understanding. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's keep going. So now we have the expenses and everything. How can we use this Chrome extension?
Yeah. So since we didn't create a plan originally, we can go ahead and click on this plan tab up there at the top. Absolutely. And we can click to generate a plan. So you don't have to generate a plan when you start. You can generate it now. And then you just want to get our AI. like up to speed. Just tell it
Mm-hmm.
what you're trying to build and like
Okay.
where you are in your project. So
Okay.
if you're just starting out, or maybe you're like 100 edits in, we can, which happens more often than you think. You can generate a
Excellent.
plan from whatever stage you're at.
Okay. So let's just say I just created the first version of my monthly spending and budget goals. I want to make sure that I can add expenses so I can track them. Go.
Awesome.
Okay. And then I can say start planning.
Absolutely.
Everything that I do, Bobby's talking about voice mode. Yeah, that's exactly right. If I can do voice mode on anything, I will. And it's a wonderful thing. I love that you have this feature. So now we have the PRD, we have everything right here. We're being able to progress to see what we need to add into the project. I can also I love how it's laid out right here of I can easily understand what it's going to add and why. So user experience, technical considerations, integration, pages. Now I can just say accept then.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
You just accept that. And then it's going to create your tasks for you.
Okay.
So you can review your action plan, and then you can click start implementation. It'll create your task for you as well as your, if that happens, just click try again.
No
Um,
worries.
sometimes the parsing with AI doesn't always do what it's supposed to do.
I feel you.
And so now if we can just refresh the page,
Refresh.
just refresh the page real fast. And now there you see, you have your new prompt that you can add. You also, if you want to click the sparkle button, it can condense and simplify the font, and it has confetti.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and we can
Do it.
submit that. Yeah, go ahead and do it. So
Okay.
I feel like that's really great. If you've already started a project or you forgot to click the plan, you can always add a plan later, and you can always improve your prompts.
I love it. And it says I'll create a new form component for adding expenses with the specified props, validation, and error handling using React Hook form for form management and validation. Okay, so it's doing all the work for me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. You don't even
Okay.
have to think about that. You don't even have to know what any of that means. It does all the work for you. It thinks it.
Oh, oh, one second. One second.
I muted myself, y'all.
Okay. No
I
problem. I was
talk too
like,
much
my
with my
headphones.
hands. I talk too much with my hands, and I knocked it.
No worries, no worries. Now I got some questions. David's saying this, and this maybe as it's building everything out, which is great. So David said, my concern is once you publish an app and using Superbase and hosting a user on board and the app scales, what are the costs? Could you kind of talk about how do you look at that, those kind of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can deploy directly from Lovable, and that is free hosting, which is really great. But you can also self-host it yourself using something like Netlify or Vercel, which also offer free hosting, and they all scale indefinitely. Now, as your product scale, if it goes viral, like you get 100 million users in a day, then it is going to cost you some money, maybe a couple of $1,000s, but hopefully those 100 million users are paying you something. So it doesn't matter, right?
Exactly.
Also, Superbase scales indefinitely as well. Of course, as you scale, it costs money, but the really great thing about Superbase is they are very supportive of non-coders, entrepreneurs, people building businesses. So I would definitely always reach out to Superbase, and they have a lot of startup programs where you can get credits and extra help. And yes, like Bobby said, it's definitely very affordable. It's like $25 a month, um, up to like 100,000 users, I think. Definitely reach out to Superbase. I don't work for them, so I don't want to lie to anybody.
I love it. I love it. No, this is good. And I always say, like you mentioned, if you're going to be scaling like that, having a section that you can get paid off of this stuff. This is part of it. You want to make sure that this is profitable. You want to be able to scale and add features without stressing about costs. Have a feature for pro or something like that to start making some money. That's what we're always talking about on this channel. So tell me more about this. We have it completed. What it needed to add. It says the form can be used by passing, and it tells me more details. What should I do next? Should I go back to plan? How do I use this now that it executes? Should I test it? What's the next step?
Yeah, so I definitely always suggest when you're coding with AI to anytime the AI does something, you should always test it yourself. We are working on that test button up in the right corner where it will test it for you. So you can say, hey, test the form I just built, and it'll go off and test it as you continue coding. So I would say try to test it, whatever it built.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Should I make it go into a different window and just kind of test those things? What's the best process? Do you ever test it just in the preview?
Yes, I test almost everything just in the preview mode. It's really difficult to test things like user authentication in the iframe just because of different security concerns. So you are going to want to always pop that out when you're doing like Google Auth or any type of user auth, just so it's more secure. Because a lot of time they'll block it. They'll be like, Google will be like, what are you doing? What is this weird iframe you're in? No, we're not
Hmm.
allowing it. So you're going to want to test that outside. But most functionality you can test right here.
Now, as we're seeing that it says, "Hey, I'm gonna be," I can now have an express form. Should I just mention and kind of type like, "Hey, I'm on the front page. I don't see the button to submit express like expense
Yeah,
report, something like that."
absolutely. So that's when
Okay.
you're going to go back in that chat mode.
I'm just gonna say, I'm on the home page and I don't see an icon or button to be able to submit expenses. Can I add a button or should I? Okay.
Great. And you want to change over to chat mode from
And
default.
go over here
Great.
and then I go here.
Exactly.
Let's see.
Yeah, so this is, I really enjoy chat mode because it'll help you think through things,
Mm-hmm.
um, through these problems. Because sometimes the AI makes mistakes, right? It's built on human data, and humans make mistakes, so we can expect the AI to make some mistakes sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cool thing is, after it will propose a plan for you, and you can kind of read through that. And then there's a cool little button that says implement the plan. So if you're satisfied with what this is, you can click that button, and then Lovable will do it for you.
Okay. So I click the button
Awesome.
and now it's thinking about it. We've got a question. David, thanks so much for being active in the chat. The stack is Next.js? Question?
So no, Lovable actually uses Byte in React and TypeScript. So as of now, Next.js is not compatible with Lovable, but that's okay.
Mhm. All right. All right. Now we have an add expense button, which is great
Awesome.
right here.
Yeah.
And so right here, I can go with the date. Okay. I can say, okay, this is my date, entertainment. I can say description, saw a movie.
You saw Captain America.
Yep. Let's see. Saw Captain America. And then I can also, oh, I talked too fast. Ah. You know what I also notice in the middle of like when it's like 2 or 3 in the morning and I'm using dictation, I start slurring my words and then like it all goes downhill when I'm like, well, I gotta enunciate better. Okay, so it says
Perfect.
added a saw a movie. Okay,
Great. So now let's go to our plan tab.
yeah, plan
Oh,
tab. There we go.
yeah. And now, right. So now you can see some of the different plans tasks. So we just did expense form component, which is
Mhm.
the second task there. And we can go ahead and we can check that off. And so now you
Okay.
can keep up to date with like what you're doing, all of the different steps that you need to add, etc., which I think is really cool.
This is wonderful because sometimes I get so many suggestions in chat when I'm using either Lovable or I'm using Replit or whatever it is, and then I get overwhelmed. I'm like, wait, where was I in, like, what was I supposed to be doing to stay on track? So I love this plan feature to make sure that I keep my life together. So this is great.
Yeah, exactly. And if you click on one of the little
Oh,
copy button, oh,
can
go
I
ahead.
have a question? So I see high priority, medium priority, and then going from there. Is it kind of just understanding my main goal of the application and it's kind of breaking down what I should be focused on, high priority, and then the medium priority is kind of like nice to have things. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, exactly. So high priority is kind of like your MVP, right? It's the core functionality you need for it to just work. And then the medium priority is like nice to haves, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if I don't have it. And then low priority is just like the cherry on top, right? You definitely don't have to have the cherry, but it does make things better.
I love it. I love it. So should we add one more? Should we go through this? Should I add like implement a data model to store expense information?
Yeah, let's go for it. So you can click that copy button. And then what happens here is that it's going to generate a prompt based on that task. And we can go back to chat and then we can paste that prompt right on in that we got.
Okay. And then I can just go return and hit this
Wait,
bad
it
boy
looks like
and
we already did this.
implement add expense form right here. I've added new. Okay. The component should be created, add expenses. Okay.
I think we might have already did this one.
So
So
we're
let's
ahead
go
of the
check that
game.
one off. Yeah, so apparently we already did this. So let's
That's
do
no worries.
something else. Yeah, let's do the expense listing. Let's develop the list view. I think that's great. So we copy
Good.
that, we go over and we can input it. It's
Okay.
super easy. And
Love
then
it.
also if you're ever like, ooh, I don't know, this looks like a lot, you can always just do it in chat mode first.
I
Because I know some people are like, whoa, what's going on here?
I
Um,
love it.
yeah. So while we're doing that, we can, if you want to click on the help button for me.
Yep.
So this is where you can actually get help about Lovable itself. So you can ask a question like, how many free edits a day do I get? Something like that. And it will search the Lovable documentation, blogs, YouTube videos for the answer.
Let's go with this. I'll just say, yeah. How many edits can I make on the free version? We'll go from there. Right here. So it's searching. I love this. Oh, okay. Provided context does not explicitly state the number of edits you can for the free version. It mentions a daily and monthly limit. Okay, so now it's giving me context, all of those
Mhm.
things. Okay, excellent, excellent. This is really good. This is really good. There, could I ask you two questions? I want to get back to the chat too because I think this is an important question there too. But you mentioned the slashes and going through for documentation, authentication templates as you're going through this, would you first, is there any methodology or anything that you should say, hey, here's what you should be thinking about first? For example, like, should I not try to think about authentication before I start doing one thing before that? Could you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I like to develop is I like to start with my Superbase and my database. Like after I get my kind of core, this is where I'm starting, then I'll go and I'll integrate Superbase and make sure that that's connected. And then that's where like your auth prompt really works well because then you can just select your login method, say, oh, I want to use Google, I want to use a magic link, etc. And then it'll create a prompt to tell Lovable how to use Superbase to create that UI as well as the actual functionality of it.
I love it. So if I'm understanding you correctly, first I should be connecting Superbase and go here first, connect everything, and then start using the prompt to start doing what I want. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes,
Okay, cool.
exactly. So if you're going to do anything with data, anything with APIs, like if you want to integrate OpenAI or Replicate or Stripe or what have you, and if you want to have users, you're going to want to do that Supabase integration as early as possible. Like I talked about that linear development, keep going forward. You don't want to
Yeah,
have your whole app built and then be like, oh, now I want to add, a login page. Oh, no, it's
yeah,
too late. The house
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
built.
No, no, that's good. And I see Bobby's answering this in the chat, but I think this is really important to talk about. Sandy mentions, if we launch a web app, how can we get customers to use it? Can you brief it out? I love this question. Talisha, would you like to talk about this first? I have my thoughts, but what do you think about that question?
Yeah. So getting customers to use your project, it's definitely not true that if you build it, they will come. This is not Field of Dreams. It does not work like that. You have to go where your customers are, where your users are, right? So if you're building, a web app that tracks baseball stats, go to a baseball game, go hang out in a baseball forum. Someone ask a question, be helpful. Say, someone asks, oh, what's the latest stats on the Atlanta Braves in front of Atlanta? When's the last time they made the World Series? You can say, oh, I built a web app for this, and the answer is XYZ. And that's how you start getting people to build a rapport with you and your brand, so they're more likely to want to try it out.
Yeah, I love that so much. Yeah, I just echo those sentiments. Just Google search it, get into Facebook groups, go to live events, do whatever to just connect. And what I would really say is, oh, and thank you so much, by the way, for Bobby talking about that. I would say just be a normal human and try to solve problems. I see too many people on Reddit that they see like a topic and they're like, I just built this, and they just drop a link without being helpful. And it kind of is spammy. If you're just trying to solve problems and it comes up, I think that's wonderful. And I also, maybe I'm biased, I think live streaming and talking about it in real time, in inviting people to contribute and talk about things, they see that you're a real person. They see that if they like your vibe, they're going to stay, and it builds a community for people to want to go from there. So I love it. Great questions. Let us know, what are you building? What are you trying to build? That'd be awesome, and we'll see how we can support you.
Definitely tag me
David,
on Twitter.
yeah, exactly. We're gonna drop all the chats. David said, solve a problem and get early, users early and iterate on their feedback. That's exactly right. And for me, this is just me, but I'm always about, I've got to make my time worth it. Maybe you won't collect payments right away, but I need to know, would they be willing to pay for it? Why or why not? A lot of people don't ask, or they build for months and then they're backed in the corner. They're like, oh, how am I going to monetize this? Just ask from the front. And if they say, no, I'm not willing to pay, just ask them why. I would love to know, what features is it missing, and just go from there.
Awesome. Yeah, that's definitely how I built Lovify. And also, I just want to show off some of the other features in
Let's do it.
Lovify. So if you want to click on that rubber ducky for me, it's one of my favorite features.
Let's.
So in software development,
Ooh.
rubber ducking is the task of talking to like an actual rubber duck, right? So a lot of software engineers, they have like a real rubber duck on their desk, and when they get stuck, they talk to their rubber duck and they explain what's going on. And talking about it out loud often helps the engineer understand where they went wrong. And the great thing about this is that AI understands how to rubber duck debug as well. So we made a little prompt here. You can type or text and you can explain the problem that you're having. We don't have a problem, but imagine we did, right? Imagine the data isn't being saved to the database properly, right? So we could describe that problem we're having to our rubber duck.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm going to say, right now, I'm not seeing the data being saved to the database. I'm not really sure where to begin. All
Perfect.
right.
And then we're going to go click on that next step. And the next step is describing how you want it to work, right? So a lot of times when people are debugging with AI, they just end up yelling at it, the problems. It's like, this isn't working, this isn't working. But the AI has no context on the right way that it's supposed to work. So you're basically just yelling at it for no reason. And the AI is like, bro, I don't know what you mean. So you always want to describe how you want it to work. So for this one, maybe we want it to work. We want the data to be displayed from the database onto like a graph or something.
Yeah. Okay. I want to see the database on the screen. I want it also to be projected where I can see it with different rows and columns so I can understand what I'm looking at. Okay.
Perfect. And then you go ahead and click next step.
Next step. Okay.
It will show you your time to reflect. You can reflect personally, but also you can continue to chat and it'll generate a prompt for you to use.
Say that again. So after it says the problem you describe, your expected behavior, the rubber duck says, do I can take this right here to bring it into the chat, or say that last part again about creating
Yeah.
a prompt?
So yeah, you can take it directly to the chat by clicking the continue to chat button. It'll automatically insert it. See, it's magic. Um, and this will make sure you're in chat mode, of course. And then this will have the AI to rubber duck itself. Now, this isn't a real problem, so Lovable would probably be confused, like, what are you talking about? But if it was a real problem, it would be like, yeah, let me rubber duck myself. Let me think through this problem step by step. It will lay out exactly what it's been doing. And a lot of times it will catch the error itself. It will be like, oh, yeah, I see that I should have imported X instead of importing Z. So it's a really powerful tool if you ever get stuck. Uh-oh, am I muted or you muted? Okay. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Well, now it's Talisha hour. Confetti. It's a party, it's a party, it's a party. So apparently some technical difficulties.
There we go. Are you here?
Oh, nice, he's back.
Okay. And you're hearing me. This is what happened. So because I'm using voice mode on the browser, and I was doing that with Rubber Ducky, everything else got shut down.
Oh.
Leave the studio, reset everything, because it's like, where's the sound coming from? What's happening here? So
That's so funny.
these things happen in life. These things happen. Okay, as we're going through this, we're going to be sharing my screen real quick. As we've been talking about this, building your own Chrome extension, how you're able to do this with AI agents. Remember, as we're showing this off, there is a product hunt campaign going on right now with Lovify. Make sure that you support them, upvote, do all of those things. The links are going to be in the chat down below, and for you to try it out. This entire live stream, you can also access as a replay, so you can go step by step in all of the different features we highlighted. Before we go on, Talisha, is there anything else that I missed? Anything that you want to highlight? All of those different things. Rose in the house. Love it.
Hey, Rose. Yeah, so I think the only other thing I would like to highlight is one more slash command. So just erase that. But one more slash command is the slash docs. is
Hmm.
something that I think is really powerful. So here, if you're trying to do something like integrate OpenAI or integrate, Stripe, you can paste in the documentation URL and then describe what you're trying to do with that doc. So you could paste in Stripe and say, I'm trying to add a payment button to XYZ place. And then when you process documentation, the cool thing that happens is we have a web crawler go scrape the page, gather that information, give it to a LLM, give it to an AI on the back end, and then generate a prompt for you that gives additional context to Lovable. Because documentation is always changing, always a new latest version, and Lovable doesn't always have that context. So you can just insert it here pretty simply.
Okay, so if I'm understanding correctly, should I first, like, say, for instance, I would look up Stripe documentation, something like that, and for
Mhm.
APIs, I would then grab that URL and then bring it into Lovable?
Yes, exactly. You bring it
Okay.
in and post that, and then you'll just kinda describe what you're trying to do with it.
So I'm trying to add different, I'm trying to do a get and a post command using the Stripe API. I want to get the information of the customer's email and how much they spent. Something like that. Okay, let's see. Process documentation, processing.
So it does take a little moment to, scrape the whole web page,
Oh, yeah,
especially as it's some dense documentation.
it's true.
There. So
Okay,
then it process and then see it tells Lovable exactly how it should use it. And then
love that.
Lovable can go, okay, great, I got it. So I think that's really cool.
I think this is great. So, have you been using this with your own new projects too? Have you been using your Chrome extension to really iterate and
Yes.
go from there?
I basically use my Chrome extension to build my Chrome extension.
I love that. I love that. That is so good. That's really good. Remember, everyone, there's two things I would like to highlight about this. Don't forget, you can also support everything right here by buy me a coffee. Make sure that you're supporting the extension, everything that you're doing. All of these great features, there are creators, there's wonderful minds behind it. Make sure you support. Talisha, make that I'm going to put that in the link right now. Right now, make sure you support. This is a great Chrome extension. We're going to support this right after the stream. This is wonderful. Okay, so could you talk about just a little bit? This is a launch. What's on the roadmap? We have this. Is it done, completed? Are you going to do other things? Are you moving on? What's happening?
Yeah, so there's definitely more on the roadmap for sure. We're working on that automatic testing for our users. So you can go and say, hey, test the login feature for me. We're working on something really cool called Cook Mode, which will
Ooh,
allow you to import your project, your images, tell it what you want to do, and then Lovify will completely take over. This is peak vibe coding, completely hands out.
I love it.
We're also working on a voice help feature. So when you click that help, instead of typing questions, you can turn on the voice help and you can talk to it and share your screen and say something like, hey, this button is on the left side, but I wanted it on the right side. And then it will generate prompts for you to kind of debug and solve those issues. So that's some of the things coming. We have a lot in store. Definitely not stopping here.
I love it. I love it. So, as we're finishing up here, is there anything else you wish I would have asked you? Anything that you want to dive in more? How do you feel as we're wrapping up this session? But hopefully, if you allow us, we'd love to have you again on the show because this is just scratching the surface and all of the wonderful things that you're doing out here. So, we would love for you to come back. But anything as we're wrapping up right now, anything else that you want to go through or highlight?
Yeah, so I would love to just leave everybody with like my two tips for coding with AI, coding with Lovable. Tip number one is to think like a programmer. And that doesn't mean that you need to be a software engineer with 10 years experience. No, it just needs you need to think through things step by step. You can't just force it full steam ahead, right? Imagine if you were building a house, you wouldn't hire a contractor and tell it to build you a house. Like, that's nonsense. You would say, oh, I want this kind of house. I want this many bathrooms. You know, I want this kind of tiling. There's a lot that goes into it. And it's the same with building with AI and programming. You got to really think through all of the steps before you start. And number two, my biggest tip is have patience. AI is still pretty new in this realm. Like, this is things that have never been done before. So just have patience, slow down, read what the AI is saying, read the documentation. Don't be afraid to try things and experiment, but just have patience.
Those are great tips. Those are great tips. Well, thank you again for being here for the launch and sharing the day as you are very busy. I saw what time you posted in all the promotions throughout the day. So you're doing great. Please let us know how we can support you. The link is down below. Make sure that you go follow her, go follow the project. Make sure that you upvote for the Lovable campaign on Product Hunt that is going on today. And make sure, if you like these kind of episodes, if you want to talk about more subjects about Lovable or what you're doing to create your micro app, your Chrome extension, all those things, let us know in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe, because we do this every single week. So until next time, we'll see you later. And thank you so much for your time and energy being here in the chat. Goodbye,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.